Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dress Better, Live Better. It's been a while since my last video. I've been focusing on a few things. I'm moving to Dubai soon, but later on that. So here we are again with Marty Thomas for the second time now. Marty Thomas is a distinguished Australian fashion model and lifestyle creator, celebrated for his impeccable menswear style and passion for refined living.
Whoa.
Represented by Chadwick Models, he has redefined the image of the mature model, inspiring audiences with his ageless elegance and sophisticated approach to fashion. Through his social media presence, Marty shares his sartorial choices, luxury travel experiences, and gourmet adventures, encouraging men to embrace accessories like scarves to elevate their personal style. So I have Marty here and I want to ask him some questions about accessorizing and also just scarves in general, because I feel like most people in Australia do not wear accessories and many men in Australia do not wear accessories as well. So I want to encourage more people to accessorize. How are you, Marty?
I'm good, Bev. Thanks for inviting me today.
Good to see you. It's a very cold day.
It is a cold day. It's about as cold as it gets here in our blessed city of Sydney.
It is.
But it'll keep us fresh and on our toes.
Exactly.
And it's also scarf weather.
It is. Perfect timing. All right, so let's start with the questions. So Marty, your style is instantly recognizable, always elevated with the perfect accessories. When did your love for accessorizing begin?
I think that for me, accessorizing is finishing off the serving, the product. So as long as I've been interested in style and presenting myself, I've been interested in accessorizing. I feel like accessories are part of the whole look. It completes the look.
Yes. I think it's the final like cherry on top, right?
Yes, the icing on the cake.
That's what I think as well. And an outfit often looks incomplete without accessories. Would you agree?
I do agree. I think we need to accept that people have different standards of dress, and that is totally acceptable. And sometimes we want to almost wear a uniform, but other times we're free to express ourselves, and that's where we can have fun, and that's where we can pull in various elements that I think build our confidence and make us feel good because we look good.
Perfect. Okay, next question. So what do accessories mean to you when it comes to personal style? Is it about detail, expression, confidence, or something else?
It's a very good question. Someone recently asked me in a similar setting whether style or my fashion choice was a form of armor or a form of self-expression. And really they're almost opposites. Right. One is a protection, to protect your ego, to protect yourself from perhaps criticism. And the other is, look, here I am. And it enables, your style enables you to express who you are inside, as you well know.
Yes.
So I almost reacted to that. Well, it's certainly not an armor for me. I don't need that protection. I feel I'm sufficiently confident to step out here or step out there or try this. Not everyone wants to be bold, but I think we need to be open to boldness in fashion. We need to accept that style is a very personal thing, and it's a freedom of expression.
It is. I think you and I were very bold with our style.
We are. That's an understatement.
Other people might be more minimal, but both are self-expressive because, you know, it depends on the person and it depends on where they are. Of course, the environment matters as well. But
setting is very much, it matters, yes.
For you and I, we're more bold, expressive. Other people are expressive in different ways. Maybe they would wear jewelry that's more of a statement piece, for example, like a necklace, and then keep everything else quite basic, not basic in a bad way, but just more minimal. So I think it depends on the person, and you know, like not everyone should dress like someone else. So people that follow you shouldn't copy your style exactly, but they should take little things that they're inspired by and mix it with their style. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree with that. I think it's important not to take on someone else's style. There are trends in fashion where you do this look or that look. What you really want to do, what we really need to do, is to do our look. And sometimes we have to find what that is. And the only way to find that, I think, is by surrounding yourself. It's like a kitchen with great ingredients and just going for what you feel, what speaks to you. And then you'll have something that is authentic, that word authentic. And that should make you feel good because it's just yours. You own it.
Perfect. So many men in Australia keep their outfits pretty minimal. Why do you think that is? And what would you say to those who feel like accessories are too much?
Sometimes minimal is a requirement of work. Sometimes a uniform literally needs to be worn. I don't deny that. So there's very little room for movement in that sense. And you want, style is about fit too. You need to fit the setting. Where are you going? What are you doing? Who are you meeting? It's got to be the right fit.
Yes.
In a formal environment or in a corporate environment, you may almost need to wear a uniform. That doesn't mean you can't choose the style, the color, the texture, go for a certain quality. And I also believe that in this society, which is very free in Australia, we can choose a small accessory to elevate an outfit. It can be the smallest thing. It can just be a little pocket square. It can be a different choice of shoe.
Yes.
And that elevates us. And it's all personal style coming through. It's a question of scale.
That's true. I think most people are very scared to try different things because they might be ridiculed or judged. Do you think that's a problem in Australia?
I think it is, but I think that that's changing rapidly. I see in the last 10 years, I see the Australian male being bolder, being more interested in presenting well, and closing the gap between some of our women who really want to make an occasion and to dress, to present themselves beautifully. Closing that gap so that there is a synergy. I'd like to see more of that.
I do too, so that's why this conversation had to come about. Took a bit of time to get it about, but I love to be here today and talk about these things because I don't really find anyone else to talk to about these certain topics, you know?
Well, no, you've said I'm a style maven, and you've given me all of these wonderful labels, which I appreciate.
Look at the outfit,
I appreciate, but I just for me, the essence of it is I love color. Color really thrills me, and I find that, and I like texture as well. Yes. So it can be and I have some knowledge because of my extensive years in existence of textures and fabrics and their history and provenance, and it interests me. And I'm a storyteller, so I will always look for the story in an outfit, and a story needs to have continuity, it needs to have a plot, it needs to have meaning to move you. Likewise, your outfit, without being too artistic, it should tell a story which people will believe. And I think if we draw on things that are important to us, that have real value to us, we add value to ourselves in a weird kind of way.
Right. I think fashion is more than just clothing, so what you just said hit the nail on the spot. It depends on the day, it depends on where you're going. Today we have a car event after this, and I wanted to dress a bit more classier than I usually do, so I went for the brown and grey tones. And yeah, I love to dress for the occasion, but also dress in statements. So I think depending on the occasion, it can still look like a statement, it can still look like you. Usually I love to wear colour, but today I was like, let me do something different today. So I think you said it right.
I think it's important to have fun with the concept of personal style. It's important to keep a sense of humour. And it's also important not to overextend yourself, because I think for certain people who don't have the confidence or boldness to wear something wild, they shouldn't do that. Right. We're all encouraged these days to get out of our comfort zones, but that's also a personal choice.
That's true.
Sometimes you want to cocoon yourself to feel confident. Other times it's like, let's go. Here's an opportunity to elevate, an opportunity to move in a slightly different direction. I think that makes life exciting.
It does. And that's the choice is what makes it exciting, right? Okay, so let's talk about scarves now. They've kind of become your signature, right? So especially with your suits. And what drew you to them, may I ask?
You notice I'm not wearing a scarf right now. But yeah, I thought I'm going to be naughty and I'm going to wear a tie. So, like most, I grew up wearing ties. Ties have been around for many years, hundreds of years actually, tied in different ways, and they started off as almost bows, and then they've become much more conservative. It's almost as though society has matured And now I think we're moving away from that restrictiveness into more freedom, speaking very broadly. I only wore this I don't want to criticize ties. I don't want ties to be the enemy, but I feel like a necktie, if you look at the essence of it, it literally is quite constricting. It needs to be tied tight.
Yeah.
And it is a noose.
It is, literally.
It is a noose. What do people do with nooses? Right.
Hang you.
Now this is a beautiful silk tie. It's quite a nice shade. It worked really well with the outfit, but I was only being naughty with that. I would normally choose a scarf. I think the thing with a scarf is it's free form. So you need technique and finesse and style in the way that you tie it. But I don't tie a scarf or a cravat in the traditional way usually. I tie it in a more modern way. And for me it gives me more power of expression, and it is less constricting and restrictive.
It's more unique, right?
Agreed. So I just...
He just brings it out.
I have an extensive collection of scarves that I have collected over the years, and what I love about them is obviously this choice of colour, but then you've also got different textures.
And they're more expressive, I feel like.
Very much so.
Patterns.
So I'm wearing quite a busy outfit today. I would keep my scarf quite plain and go for, so I might, this is a cravat which is actually my own.
Your own design.
Yes, and it has one side in velvet and one in a paisley, and it's in these earthy brown green tones, and I'm probably going to hit the mic here, but it's just so simple to do. Once over and once through, and then it's a matter of adjustment, and even without a mirror, just by feeling your way, I can tuck that in.
It looks really
so I don't
classy.
need to wear a formal dress shirt. I can even wear this with a t-shirt, which I have done in one of my reels.
It's very, very classy.
And just tuck it in there, and suddenly I'm more of an English gentleman. Or I'm out in the country, or I'm just getting off my horse.
It changes the whole
It does. I mean, it's such a little thing, and the reason it changes so quickly is because of our memories of what we've seen of fashion and style. So this is a totally different feeling to a necktie, and you know as I said, then there are the larger scarves, obviously. So there are many types of scarves, and we can talk about some of the ways they're tied. You're wearing a classic long winter scarf over the shoulder, quite debonair.
That's how I usually do it, over the shoulder. I do it very basic. Marty does it more expressively, but I love how he's done it this time. And I love it, it's double-sided as well.
Fashion's a very sensual experience, and what I like velvet. You know, velvet has a feel to it. It has a look to it, and we're so connected. And we should realise that our sense of vision, our sense of touch, are all interconnected. I'm shortly going to be holding a masterclass matching fashion and fragrance, because how we smell or affects how we look also. So it's another part of our presentation.
It's another accessory.
It is. It is an accessory, truly is.
It can uplift your outfit if you pick the right fragrance.
I think so.
I think it can almost ruin your outfit if you use the wrong fragrance.
That's very true.
Yeah.
It's important to have a good match.
Yes.
And that doesn't, and there are no, there isn't really a rule book. It's 50 shades of grey. What appeals to some doesn't appeal to others. I guess what I'm saying is scent is extremely personal, as is style. So you just have to get a match.
I think so too. Okay, so you've encouraged me personally to wear more scarves. What's your advice for someone who's never worn a scarf before but has wanted to try at least, want to try one, I guess?
Watch some old movies. So you'll see that the best of us have worn scarves. Looking back at people like Cary Grant and the 50s and 60s Or back to the last century where we were wearing formal ascots. There was a style to it, and then we went into a more relaxed cravats. The 1950s and 60s, we wore bandanas or neckerchiefs. They were a thing. I mean, we all wore them, even Australians.
Wow.
If you look back at the 1960s and 70s and modelling outfits, advertising, you'll see fitting shirts and you'll see neckerchiefs. They're what you wore. So times change, and I think it's nice to take from the past items that still that give you a pleasant feeling, that have meaning.
Do you think there's a cultural or generational resistance in Australia when it comes to men exploring fashion beyond the basics?
There is, unfortunately. And without being negative, because I think there's something nice about the friendly and relaxed nature of the Australian character, especially the Australian male, I'll call him that. Yes. Approachable, sense of humour,
friendly,
embracing, inclusive. At least these days, I think there's a nice friendliness about that. But there's also a desire to simplify, and I'm Marty. Everything gets relaxed in this culture. It's a big part of it. Compare that with Italy, where you have, when men go out in Italy, they often usually treat it as an opportunity to dress up. It's the land of peacocks. And this is the land of, I don't know, I won't say. I'm from New Zealand, that's my homeland. I don't know what the comparison is, but I think because we're a little bit more British in our heritage, we have more style. But as I said, I think it's more wanting to see a match and an ability to share personal style. I think that the portals are opening and men are becoming bolder, and they're stepping up in many ways, and I think they should feel they have the freedom to do that.
I think so. I do think that people in Australia, because of the tall poppy syndrome we have here, when they see someone dressed differently, they kind of almost bring that person down. I do see that very often.
Judgment.
Yes. We are a very friendly and hospitable people, but when it comes to doing things differently, we almost don't like that.
Look, that sometimes comes out of insecurity,
right?
If we want to speak in those terms, and that is something that over time will change, as what used to be considered outrageous is now considered acceptable and even stylish. So we're moving with the times, I think. We're being less judgmental in terms of our personal choices in fashion.
In fashion, we have to be the one that's very expressive and bold all the time. We have to do things differently. We have to try new things. And in fashion, people usually hate on it. That's how the fashion industry is. And then they jump onto the bandwagon when it becomes popular.
I think we all agree that fashion is cyclic. It moves in cycles.
It is.
I know because I have trousers from the 80s that are wide leg, and they've just come back in.
They have, yeah.
So in the meantime, we've had it's almost tidal, the way fashion changes. So and I think unless you want to be trendy and you want to be led by the masses and by trends, then you need to just sail through, and then you must have the confidence to know that you're going to look good in that process. Otherwise you'll be taken along by the flow, and every year you'll end up with items that you don't want to wear anymore because they're no longer fashionable. So I think it's important, and again it's a personal choice, that items that have real value for you as an individual, you'll keep those, and they will be an important part of your life. And that means accessories in particular, not just fashion choices.
I think accessories do stick with you throughout the years, and more so the bigger jackets or shirts, shoes. These pieces are more here and there. I
think accessories can be timeless,
yes,
if you choose well.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you do choose well.
Yeah.
Okay. And why do you think accessorising is often overlooked by men? And how can we shift that mindset?
We've come out of particularly in the corporate world, quite a conservative space where you don't get out of line. You know, there are specific rules in that. I say corporate world, meaning the more conservative, and many work in that environment. So there are things that you can't really get away with. But as an example of that, I think 10 years ago, everyone in the corporate world was wearing a necktie. Since then, the necktie has been removed, and an open shirt and a dark navy suit, and usually a pair of R.M. Williams boots,
Usually.
in chestnut, or black, that's your a kind of uniform. And that's from the CEO right down through the ranks. So there isn't much room to move there, but there is a quiet shift away from the restriction and to more freedom. And now I think with suits, trousers are wider, so you have more freedom to move. You know when those get caught on your calves, you have to be pulling down.
Yeah.
Or the skinny jean, it is definitely on the way out.
It is.
Yeah, wear it to your next fancy dress party. I'm trying not to judge, because, you know, style at the bottom line is style needs to be personal, and you need to be okay to wear what you choose.
That's true. Okay. And have you ever had people question your accessory choices, and how did you respond or deal with that?
Look, that happens quite frequently on a very personal level. So anyone who's close to you will say, that's not working, or what are you doing? You know, this would be better with that. And that's fine, because I think criticism, and I'm using that in a neutral sense, or in a positive, constructive criticism, helps us move into a place of confidence, or it should. So if we take any criticism like that, and make it constructive, but in the end, you choose. But always listen, because sometimes it's hard to see how we look to others. We look in the mirror, it's not even quite the same as you looking at me now. It's a reverse image. It's just a weird thing, isn't it?
It is.
So I think, in a kind way, listen to what is offered to you in terms of advice, but in the end it's you who need to feel good, because our friends and our setting is a reflection of us. So
I think we're also more harsh on ourselves than we are to others.
we can be, yes.
So most people, when they see your outfits, don't really know why you picked a certain option, unless you told them.
Yes.
So when people, they judge our outfits, then they don't really know, for example, a stranger could criticize your outfit, but on that piece they criticize, it could mean a lot to you. And the story behind the outfit, if you change that one little piece, it could change the whole outfit.
Sometimes it can be the smallest thing that it's like the key that turns the lock and the door opens.
Yes.
It's just important to be sensitive and aware that all these little things matter. And one thing wrong can make it all wrong.
I think so. So it is important to listen to what other people think, but at the end of the day, you're the one that chose the outfit, and if you love what you wear, that's what that matters.
Absolutely. This is from someone who is very bold.
Okay, so would you say accessories allow you to show different sides of yourself depending on the mood or the event?
100%, yes. As we said earlier, they are the finishing touch, and they complete the look, or should, but certainly they are a reflection. They're very important. They've become more important to me as I've grown older.
Me, for example, I never used to wear scarves very often. If you scroll down to my Instagram, past before I met Marty, I used to never wear scarves. Even neck scarves, small silk scarves. Then recently, after seeing his outfits, you would see very often that Marty would wear a scarf with his outfits. And I did get inspired, because I didn't really see anyone around me wear scarves like that as a man. So, you know, it's very interesting that people you meet, or even people you see on the street, they can inspire your style. They can take you outside your comfort zone. I think that's why fashion
in a comfortable way.
In a comfortable way.
Yeah.
And that's why I think fashion is so beautiful, because you're always learning, you're always trying new things, and it's never stagnant, it's always constant. And now you changed up the scarf.
Look, it's not really working with the tweed, but it's important to realize that if you can imagine me wearing something plainer, You know, we often attend, we're very privileged, I think, to attend red carpets.
Yes.
And I've met you on several of those, and you always make bold choices, and you often dress on theme, which I admire. It takes boldness, but also you fit in there, you know, and I'm not sure, I think I bought one scarf with me here, which is so much to choose from.
I love that many you brought.
Yeah, but I mean, I have been out to a black tie event wearing a black suit and simply worn this around my neck, tucked into the suit. Right? And it worked. So sometimes the most unexpected items will work, and it all depends on the setting, as you said.
Yes.
Your level of confidence, clearly.
Yes.
And also knowing how far you can go for the win. In other words, this is great, you nailed it, you've got the look you wanted. And then you're also in some ways setting an example for others, which we do, because people look at us, to our style, and we need to be aware that we are teachers. I once jokingly said we are fashion healers.
We are role models, I think. So
Yeah.
what we wear can inspire someone else to, you know, dress outside their comfort
Yes.
zone or take that risk and express themselves. So every time I dress up, I do want to be that person that encourages you to try something new
Yes.
and show you that it's okay to be different. And being different is not a bad thing. It's actually your own superpower. And in high school, I was taught that being different was the worst thing in the world. So I would hide myself. I would change my name as well. Like I would just call myself Bav, nothing else, not my full name. So I thought it was a bad thing to express myself back then. And luckily, through fashion, I found out that it wasn't a bad thing, and it was actually what made me me.
I had a similar experience in my youth, shall we say. Still working, yeah. So, and that's what our past is, what forms us and enables us, hopefully, rather than holding us back.
Exactly. I do think it holds a lot of people back because they don't want to look back into the past and possibly heal and see what was wrong. But I do think what happens in our past, we shouldn't be ashamed of it, and we should always take it as teaching.
Absolutely, very wise. I think that that's true. You know, it's not all smooth sailing. We learn lessons. Sometimes the lessons, we don't see the lesson until later in life.
Yes.
But it generally will come up. There are so many elements that form our personality, our character, and it's a close connection to our personal style. They're not something entirely different.
Exactly.
They do talk to who we are.
I think so. And the more we can say like we're okay with what's happened and move on, I think that's what makes you into the best version of yourself. Instead of just holding on to the past all the time and, you know, saying I wish this would have happened instead of that. Just accept it's happened and now move on. I do think that mental health and fashion are very interlinked, so I do try to incorporate the two very often. But I also just want to explain that, you know, it was Men's Mental Health Month last month, and I think most men don't really talk about their feelings as well. So
Yeah.
I do think that fashion can almost bring out another side of you, the real side of you, and it can make you into the most confident version of yourself.
We're so interconnected as individuals, as humans, and confidence, the natural confidence is the greatest key to mental health. And just the ability to be in a position where you can think constructively and in a positive way about yourself and how you relate to others. And that can have a lot to do with how you appear, how you present yourself.
I do think so. And do you think confidence comes before style, or can wearing something bold like a scarf actually help build confidence?
I think both.
Yes.
I think that confidence must come before to enable you to make those bold choices.
Yep.
Once you make those choices, it compounds.
Yeah, that's the
and you
perfect
are
answer.
Superman. In the sense that it will boost your confidence to also to know that you made the right choices.
Yes.
People will compliment you,
Yes.
or not.
Or not.
But if people compliment you, I think it's important to say thank you and be appreciative, because that also it builds you into a place of confidence in a good sense. I don't mean boosting the ego. So I think the ego and confidence are very closely related. But confidence will enable you to do and achieve more,
I think so.
in my opinion.
And when you do try something new, you try a different risk. Like you never worn a scarf before, and then you wear a scarf, and someone doesn't like it. I find most people do like it. Let's say 8 out of 10 people like it, then 2 out of 10 don't like it. But because as humans, we have a negativity bias. So we just think about the 2 people instead of the 8 people. And that the whole day we're just thinking about the negative. But actually, if you think about it rationally, most people actually like the risky, the bold option you chose. Do you agree with that? Because when I first started dressing very bold, that's how I was thinking. And I started thinking about it. Actually, most people were complimenting me.
Yes. And now you get many compliments, correct?
Too many.
Yeah. I feel that, and we're getting deep here, and that's good. I feel that positivity, it's a precious thing, and it's a power tool to improve your circumstances and to make you feel good. And it's a choice. It's often a choice as to how we choose to see something. We can see it as a criticism, or we can see it as an assistance to help us up to a better place. It's very much about perspective. And if we have a good perspective that makes us feel good, we can share that with others. And we're coming from a place where we feel it ourselves. There's nothing, it's very authentic. That's how we can make the world a better place.
I think so. Amazing answer. Okay, so if you could wear only 3 accessories for the rest of the year, what would they be and why? Only 3.
Only 3. But I'm allowed to wear clothes as well.
Yes, of course. Not just the accessories.
Yeah, okay. Then I'll change my choices. No, I'm kidding. I think jewelry.
Yes.
Now, when I say jewelry, it can be one piece, and that can have meaning because you like the look of it. It has value to you because you paid a lot of money for it, so it makes it precious. Or maybe it was a gift from someone that loves you, which also makes it precious.
Sentimental, yes.
Yeah, my example is my son Casper bought a watch for me when he was very young, and for himself. It wasn't a fancy watch. It was. It had tremendous value to me because it was a gift from him. So I won't be criticized when I wear it, because for me it's very special. It's more special than a Rolex that I bought. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
You can't put a price on that sort of value. So a piece of jewelry, and it could be a chain, it could be a ring, it could be a bangle, doesn't need to be a lot. I also think that watches are accessories, and I tend now to wear watches all the time. And I have a beautiful small collection of watches, and they all have a different personality.
Right.
And I very much choose them when I have the choice by looks. So they are very much a part of my total outfit. Then I would have to choose, I'm not sure how we categorize what's an accessory and what's not, but we're talking about scarves, so I'm going to, because we've talked so much about scarves, I'm going to choose either shoes or a hat. I think that those items can really elevate. I consider shoes accessories personally.
I do too, yes.
And on that level, sneakers have snuck into our lives, and it's fine. But they are a very different beast from a handmade shoe that will last 20 years. And I love good shoes, and they used to be a saying, shoes maketh the man. And you could judge a man, his presentation, on if he was wearing beautiful shoes, and if they were clean and shiny and with. So yeah, those sort of things really can change an outfit. They can really elevate an outfit, and they can make it personal too.
And I think the shoes are a really important part, because shoes can make or break an outfit. And I think often people don't really invest in shoes. They'll more so invest in the nice coat, the nice jacket, or the nice watch, and then they leave the shoes out of the picture. And then when you see someone's outfit, the shoes are kind of mismatched. So I do believe shoes are probably one of the most important accessories to have, actually.
I'm a shoe man. I like a good shoe. Jewelry, watches.
And I do know fashion's become a bit more laid back in the last few years, but boots are obviously very much still one of my favorite choices.
Just a few years ago, all the designer shows for men in Europe, many of them were wearing sneakers with suits, with everything.
I think
big sneakers, small ones.
Sneakers are the suit.
Doesn't do it for me,
sin.
but you know, that's gone.
Yeah,
it was a trend.
Yes.
I think we can safely say that was a trend.
It was a bad trend.
Look, it's it's hard not to be critical. We just need to realise that we're here to say many things that used to not be acceptable, such as huge, bold choices, and for men is acceptable. So we also need to accept that some people are going to choose to wear sneakers and make something of them, even make them a fashion icon. It's going to happen.
It is.
But it also comes down to our personal choices, which is why we're having this conversation.
Exactly. Okay, so what's your go-to formula for elevating a basic outfit with accessories? I know you never wear basic, so this is kind of a redundant question.
Look, I'm going to have to say I put a scarf on, because I do. And I will even wear a neckerchief with a t-shirt.
Okay.
I know it's kind of wrong, but I feel naked if I don't go out without a scarf of some description, because it's become part of my personality.
It's a signature now.
So and that's just me. I've worn a scarf tied around my wrist as a at Fashion Week. That was fun. And I do prefer it to a tie. Even with a formal suit, I make it work. For a red carpet, I make it work.
And for someone watching this video who feels nervous to try accessorizing, what's one small, low-stakes step they could take today?
Yeah, I mean, no judgment. We all come from a unique place, a starting place, and I think if you are, for instance, corporate and you're wearing, you have to wear basically the same outfit every day. The first thing you can do is maybe in your accessories, you can wear a subtle accessory. And when I say accessory, it could even be a pocket square, and it could be very conservative, but then you slowly start to step up until you feel confident. And as I've said all along, it's very much about what makes you feel confident, and small steps will lead you in a new direction. Eventually you'll find yourself in a place where you feel slightly differently about your personal style.
If you're working a corporate job, I don't think you should go all the way to the most extreme scarf
the sequin
option.
jacket.
Yeah. You should take small steps, and you will get more compliments in your workplace, I'm sure. And as you get more compliments, you'll start to feel more comfortable with going outside the comfort zone. And then eventually, you'll look like Marty.
There's something that you just reminded me of in terms of the corporates. You know, one thing a lot of Australian men do well is look after themselves health-wise,
and with their haircuts,
and with their physique,
their grooming and their physique. Yes.
So when you work 5 days a week, 7 days a week on your body and on your physique, you want to look good in your clothing as well. And you know, it's much easier to look good with a healthy, good physique than with a body that is not healthy.
That's true.
So that goes together, you know, and that's why I think style for men is growing. It's growing along with understanding that they should be healthy, maybe pulling back on the partying, pulling back on other aspects, and focusing on what doesn't just make them look good, but what really makes them feel good.
Yes.
There's a lot of that, and I think that's a very good thing. It's about self-care and it's about self-respect.
Yes. Fashion is a form of self-respect.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so closing thoughts now. Just two last questions. Do you see the rise of accessorizing for men gaining momentum? Well, you just answered that as a yes.
Yeah.
So what would you love to see more of in Australian street style?
And I hesitate to use this word diversity. Style is such a broad word. I think of walking on the streets of Florence or Milan, and there's a boldness, even in the way people walk. They experiment with their look. There's a pride in their color choices. Quality is favored over convenience.
Yes.
And that all means that people feel more confident because they have invested in themselves. So they look different and they feel different, and I want to see more of that. And I don't want to see a beautiful woman walking next to a man in flip-flops and shorts,
Yes.
because to me that says someone doesn't care.
That is true.
And it's not her. So, without wanting to push any barriers, I think more confidence, and it comes in circles. With more freedom means more confidence, more bold choices, and more closing that gap.
I think what you said about the men and the women, the couple, is very true, because I do often see couples on date nights. The woman puts a lot of effort into her jewelry, the outfit, she wants to look amazing, and then the man just looks very basic, like almost a clone of another man on another date. So yeah, it's interesting, because
it's just the thing is, the outer man is not who you're going on the date with.
Yes.
You're going on the date with the human inside.
Yes.
And I think it's important to ignore the rules and be yourself, particularly when you're going out, as you said, on a date night, which is an intimate situation where you want to be honest and vulnerable and truthful. So be yourself. Don't wear don't abide by any rules other than your own in situations like that. That's my advice, which I could be challenged on.
I do think a date night is it should be a very special night, so you should dress up for it. And it's a sign to impress your date as well. So you should really put that effort into it and just look amazing, like $1 million.
Animals do it. I think of birds, bird of paradise.
Yes.
It's often, weirdly, the male bird that is showing off and doing the dance and flapping wings and
to court the
yes, and it's interesting, isn't it? Sometimes in the world of birds, which fascinates me, I've had several pet parrots and over the years. It is the male bird whose plumage is extraordinary, and while the female bird often can be quite drab, but she is the one who is producing the line. She is the one who sits there quietly thinking, that's confidence, isn't it?
It is.
Yes.
All right, guys, that's this end of the episode. Another episode of Dress Better, Live Better. Amazing Marty Thomas was here. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any thoughts about this video, leave it in the comments below. Please subscribe, like the video, and if you want more talks like this, let me know, because this is the first of many. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Bye.